Improving the safety and security of the biological research. Executive Order, May 5th, 2025. By authority vested in me, Mr. President, and the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, is hereby ordered. Section 1. Purpose. Dangerous gain of function research on biological agents and pathogens has potentially significantly endangered the lives of American citizens. If left unrestricted, its effects can include widespread mortality and the impaired public health system, disrupted American livelihoods, and diminished economic and national security. The Biden administration shows allowed the dangerous gain of function research within the United States with insufficient levels of oversight. It also actively approved through the National Institutes of Health, Federal Life, science research funding in China and other countries where there is limited United States over the site for reasonable expectation of biosafety enforcement. This recklessness, if unaddressed, may lead to proliferation of research of pathogens and potential pathogens in setting without adequate safeguards, even after COVID-19 revealed the risk of such practices. Section 2. Policy. It is the policy of the United States to ensure the United States federally funded research benefits American citizens without jeopardizing our national security, strength, or prosperity. My administration will balance the prevention of catastrophic consequences with maintaining readiness against biological threats and driving global leadership in biotechnology, biological countermeasures, biosecurity, and health research. 3. Stop dangerous gain of function research. The Director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy, OSTP, in coordination with the Director of OMB and Assistant to the President of National Security, and in consultation with the Secretary of Health and Human Services, the heads of other relevant executive departments and agencies, identified the Director of OSTP shall establish a guidance for the heads of relevant agencies to the extent consistent with the terms and conditions of funding to immediately 1. End federal funding of the dangerous gain of function research conduct from foreign entities in countries of concern, for example, China, pursuant 42 U.S.C. 6627C, C, or other countries, and the not adequate oversight to ensure that the countries are compliant with the United States oversight standard and policies. And 2. In the federal funding of the life science research that is occurring in countries of concern, foreign countries, where there is not adequate oversight to ensure that the countries of compliant of United States oversight standards or policies that are reasonably pose a threat to public health, public safety, and economic or national security, as determined by the heads of relevant agencies. B. The Director of OSTP, in coordination with the Director of OMB and APNSA, and in consultation with the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the heads of other relevant agencies, shall establish guidance and the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the heads of other relevant agencies with respect to suspension federally funded dangerous gain of function research. Pursuant to the terms of health conditions and relevant research funding, at least the completion of the policy called for Section N4A of this order. Heads of these agencies shall report exception to a suspension of the Director OSTP in review consultation of the APNSA and the heads of relevant agencies. Secure future research through common sense frameworks. A. Within 120 days of this order, the Director of OSTP, pursuant 42 U.S.C. 66227, and in coordination with the APNSA and the heads of the relevant agencies, shall revise the 2024 United States Government Policy Oversight Dual Use Research of Concerned Pathogens with Enhanced Pandemic Potential. 2. Strengthen top-down independent oversight, increase accountability through enforcement, audits, and improve public transparency, and clearly define the scope of covered research while ensuring the United States remain the global leader in biotechnology, biocountermeasures, and health research. Incorporate enforcement mechanisms, including described in section of this order 7 of federal funding agreements to the compliance of all federal funding policies governing dangerous gain of function research, and 3. Provide review and revision every 4 years or as appropriate. B. Within 90 days of this order, direct OSTP, in coordination with the ASPNA and the heads of the relevant agencies, shall revise and replace the 2024 Framework of Nucleic Acid Synthesis Screening Framework to ensure a common sense approach that effectively ensures provides synthetic nucleic acid sequences to implement a comprehensive, scalable, and verifiable synthetic nucleic acid procurement screenings mechanisms to minimize the risk of misuse. The heads of all agencies that fund life sciences research that shall ensure that synthetic nucleic and procurement is conducted through providers or manufacturers to adhere to the updated framework. To ensure compliance, the updated framework shall incorporate the enforcement mechanisms described in 7 of this order. The framework shall be reviewed and revised at least every 4 years, or as appropriate. Section 5. Manage risk associated with non-federally funded research. Within 180 days of this order, the Director, in coordination with the Director of OMB and the APSNA, the Assistant to the President Director Policy, and the heads of other relevant agencies, shall develop and implement a strategy to govern, limit, and track dangerous gain-of-function research across the United States occurring without federal funding and other life science research that could cause significant societal consequences. This strategy shall include actions to achieve comprehensive, scalable, and verifiable nucleic acid synthesis screening in non-federally funding settings. Any gaps in authorities necessary to achieve goals in this strategy shall be addressed in legislation of a purpose proposals be sent to the President through the Director and the APSNA within 100 days of this order. Section 6. Increase accountability and public transparency of dangerous gain-of-function research. The Director of OSTP, in coordination with the APNSA and the heads of relevant agencies, shall ensure that the revised policy called for this in Section 4A includes mechanism whereby research institutions that federally funding must report dangerous gain-of-function research and the maximum extent permitted by law. Include research that is supported by non-federal funding mechanisms. That reporting mechanism shall provide a publicly available source of information about research programs, awards identified to pursuant this section, including, whereby permitted by law, those have been stopped or suspended pursuant to Section 3A and 3B of this order, and to all future programs awarded that are confirmed by the updated policy development in 4A of this order. This reporting shall be conducted in a way that does not compromise national security or legitimate intellectual property of interest or subjects of institutions. Section 7. Future enforcement terms. Secretary of Health and Human Services, heads of other relevant agencies shall consist with existing laws and regulations, include life sciences and research contract grants awards. A term requiring the contractual counterparty or grant recipient to agree that is compliant with all respect to the term of this order and applicable regulations promulgated by the contracting or grant offering agency is material to the government's payment decision to purpose 31 USC 3729B4. Now go look that up. B. A term requiring such counterparty or recipient to certify that it does not operate, participate in, or fund any dangerous gain-of-function research or other life sciences should research foreign countries that could cause significant societal consequences or generate unnecessary national security risk, and does not comply with this order and policies and order herein. C. A term stating that a violation of the terms of this order or any applicable orders regulation promulgated by a contracting grant offering agency by any grant recipient may be considered a violation of such term by recipient employer or institution, and a term stating that any grant recipient employer or institution found to be in violation of the terms of this order or any applicable regulation promulgated to contracting grant making agencies may be subject to immediate revocation of ongoing federal funding and to be a 5-year period of ineligibility for federal life sciences grants offered by the DOH and Human Services of relevant agencies. Section 8. Definitions. For the purpose of this order, dangerous gain of function research means scientific research on infectious agent or toxin within the potential to cause disease by enhancing its pathogenic or increasing its transmissibility. Covered research activities are those that could result in significant societal and consequences that seek or achieve one or more of the following outcomes. A. Enhancing the harmful consequences of agent or toxin. B. Disrupting beneficial immunological response where the effectiveness in an immunization against the agent or toxin. C. Conferring to the agent or toxin resistant to clinically or agriculturally use prophylactic or therapeutic interventions against that agent or toxin, facilitating their ability to evade detection methodologies. D. Increasing the stability, transmissibility, or the ability to disseminate the agent or toxin. E. Altering the host range or tropism of agent or toxin. F. Enhancing